baby, we're back again. We're back again for some more passionate analysis times on Bitcoin is big. Why is that funny? Why is that funny? I'm passionate. Are you passionate, Elsa? No, because you're Finnish. And Finns aren't passionate about anything, unfortunately. They have no ambitions, and they just like to be told what to do by their government. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, I know several Finns who do not think like that. They're great people. They're amazing people. They're some of the best people I know, but the majority of them definitely are. Anyways, plenty to discuss today as Bitcoin does drop off from where we looked at on yesterday from about 83,000 all the way down to 78,000 bucks in the last 24 hours. And then, of course, now Bitcoin bouncing back up another few $1,000, hanging out around 81. And I do think that that does, kind of bring up something rather interesting that it would potentially signal a bit of a short-term reversal here that actually would have a bit of legs. But until we get to confirm the criteria that we're going to go over in this video, I would still say, hey, the trend is your friend, and the trend has been our friend ever since about February 24th when this one morphed into a downtrend, and that is still yet to reverse. So until that does reverse, as always, I'm going to be favoring the trend, and that would mean downside for me. More passion, more energy. Yes, we need more energy. We need more passion.
You have to say we are low energy.
Finns are also very low energy. Very low energy. Finns are low energy. Europeans in general are low energy. Yeah, it just is what it is. Look, I'm not saying all of them are, but most of them are very low energy, very lethargic. They need to get pumped up. They got to get pumped up. They got to pump it up. What's up, Mr. Caretaker? Good morning to you. Laying down the law as well. That's why we love Mr. Caretaker. Matthew Smead, good morning to you. My favorite pulsar or hexer? I don't know. William Wallace, good morning. He's passionate. Igor's passionate. Nerd is passionate. The fireman is passionate. Creighton is passionate. Gordon is passionate. Erica Krown, Nano Cave, very passionate. That's what I like to hear. And Mr. Van Duysen, very passionate as well. That's not profits. That's just FOMO. Yeah. I mean, as of right now, Bitcoin, hasn't really done anything of significance on the daily time frame that really changes anything as of now. But that doesn't mean that it can't. And Bitcoin can very easily put in, a bit of a short-term upside move. But still, the long term does concern me quite a fair bit. I can already tell you what the big memes are going to be on crypto Twitter and crypto YouTube. It's going to be this. Holy shit, it's a trend line. It's a trend line. And we just need to break it, bros. We just need to break it. And then it is off to the fucking races. Back to 200,000, no. 300,000, no. 500,000. Where's your fucking passion, bro? It's going to 1 million. Anyways, I had a nice little drawing yesterday. I've been doing a lot of chart art. What are you oohing about, sir? Yeah, 1 million Bitcoins. Did you know that? Did you know it's going to 1 million? Actually, that's not even the highest prediction. The highest prediction is 13 million. Did you know that? Do you own any Bitcoins?
Sounds legit.
It sounds legit.
Yes, I'm a trader.
Yes, that's right. You are a trader. Hey, my stream over here just shit it out, so hopefully it's still working.
It's working.
Okay, nice. All right, beautiful. And we're also live here on Twitter as well. Been having some good times on Twitter. I've been actually very consistently doing live streams on Twitter while I do the morning sort of rituals with recording. And of course, you can feel free to join in consistently on any other day than today. Today's a YouTube day. Today's a great day for some YouTube action. What's up, Mr. Durian? A very passionate fellow indeed. Been listening to you since 2021. I appreciate that, Mr. Bubba. I really do appreciate that, ma'am. Kook Rider. What is that a reference to? Blue by wrecked after the bee's dick. The bee's dick close under. Oh, okay. I see what you mean. Like a very, very shallow close underneath that prior low. Rules are rules for a reason. But if this thing does truly reverse from here, I mean, what's going to be the narrative, or at least in terms of relative to the hash ribbons, like. Lost about 0.5% there, or sorry, closed under that pivot by about 0.5%. I mean, you could make the argument that maybe there's just a bit of variance in this one because we did have a pretty significant event that was on Monday, Tuesday, of course. That was this past week of just very, very nasty downside price action to open up the week on a sort of Black Monday call, but. that remains to be seen. Again, trend is your friend, and the trend is still to the downside as it stands right now. I do want to check out some of the traditional markets here. It won't be a part of the actual analysis for Bitcoin, but yeah, when I look at SPY futures, when I look at NASDAQ futures, it's like, okay, these things, do look like they have a nice basin right here, but would I just blindly say that this thing is ready to rip back onto prior all-time highs? I really don't think so, man. This thing can rally up, another 10%, which is a humongous move for traditional markets. Sorry, maybe not 10%. 10% actually does put you on new highs, but it could rally up 6.5% and still be on lower highs. That's kind of the issue that I have with a lot of the markets right now. A lot of them can afford like some pretty aggressive bounces, but it doesn't do anything for it. So still the onus is on the Boolahs to prove themselves here. Just like before, the onus was on the Bears to prove themselves, which they did in late February. But before then, it was a pretty damn good idea to be betting on the bulls for the past couple of years. Anyways, looking at SPY here, like I said, this thing could easily bounce to 5,700, and it's like that would be a sell, or at least that I would look at that as a sell. NASDAQ, same shit, could easily rally up to like 20,000. It would still be a lower high. It doesn't really change anything. I'm sure the traditional classical TAers of the world are going to be looking at this and saying, hey, that's our herp and derp. And, to be fair, it is. We do have a left derp. We have a double head derp over here and then a right derp over here. It's like, is this thing going to actually break down and meet a measure move like that? I mean, that would be a 50% move from the all-time high, from peak to trough. So that would be, I would say, probably less likely. I don't think it's going to work out like that, but do still think that this one, probably over the next, month or two does try another downside move. But for right now, does seem to have a good basin, but just tightening this range up between the highs of yesterday and the lows of, I think it was Tuesday. So that will remain to be seen, I suppose. Mr. Van Duysen says, what do you know, Krown? You only have some 15 years experience. Yeah, every once in a while. Actually, I was counting it up yesterday. So as far as professional trading goes, I think like 11 years now. But as far as like learning and kind of trading under a mentor, then I guess it would be actually a little bit more than 50. It depends where you started off. Like, I don't think it's really fair to say that I started when I was like fucking 11, even though I did. It's more fair to say that I started when I was like maybe 19 or 20. Anyways, no cleaning fleshlights until all-time highs are reached. That's exactly right. Until then, Mom will be doing it. So Mom, get ready, because there's going to be a lot of sandpaper going on before them. Creighton says, the only narratives I can think of is tax cuts, trade deals, and rate cuts. The thing with narratives is that there's always a next thing. There's always a next thing, and there's always something that can be unforeseen that comes up within that. So that's why I don't really like to cover narratives on this channel. That's why I don't really like to, go over narratives pretty much at all on this channel, just because they flip and flop depending upon what price action is doing. If price is going up, oh, we have some sort of a bullish narrative, but oh, price went down the next day. Okay, what's the new narrative? Oh, they said that the CPI is too high or some shit. The CPI is too high. It's too damn high. Some shit like that, man. Hodling Bitcoin says, no notifications this morning. Get your shit together. No notifications is gay. That's interesting. I'm just reading the comments, so YouTube don't fucking ban me. I'm just reading the comments, okay? Nothing wrong with that. I guess these notifications are attracted to other notifications of the same gender identity. I saw a very convincing argument the other day. Someone said, "Why isn't the B in the LGBT?" What the fuck? What is it? LGBTQ? Well, hold on. LGB, lesbian, gay, bisexual, yes, LGBT.
There's also plus.
I'm not doing the fucking plus shit. Anyways, it's very problematic actually because of the B's. The B's imply that there's only two genders, and we can't be having shit like that because everyone knows that it's infinite. It's a spectrum. It's a spectrum. I could be male. I could be female in the same second. Elsa, definitely a male. I know for sure. I've run the back tests. Going viral says, I get wrecked every bull run. I'm unable to sell the fucking alts I hodl. Many such cases. This is not an uncommon issue. One of the reasons why I don't like One of the reasons why I don't even like holding alts really at all is because most of them, 99% of them, you can be assured will enter into a long-term downtrend close to zero. And holding anything like that, is going to be a long-term losing proposition, of course. Bitcoin has proven itself, at least thus far, that it does not do that. It actually has an upwards trend over the very long term. Of course, that could change around at some point, but so far so good. It would really need to do something dastardly here in order to reverse that. I mean, we need to see Bitcoin back down below like $25,000 before that becomes a topic of conversation. But yeah. That's also one of the reasons why, if I'm looking to hold something long term, I want to be involved in stocks and I want to be involved in Bitcoin and I want to be involved in, maybe some big commodities as well, not really going too far out on the risk curve there, because again, the longer that you hold it, the more and more likely it is to go down. Yes, you can take advantage of these very quick, violent and nasty upside moves, and some people do, but it is very difficult in the moment, as I'm sure a lot of people know, to actually take advantage when it is in your favor and take the money when it's in your hand. I know that this is like a really big problem for many people because I also dealt with it myself. That's also why I don't trade like that. I'm not interested in holding these sort of things. But yeah, the B's should become the M's, multisexuals. That's perhaps yes, but for right now, we will keep it the LGBTs. Would love to see it at zero, says Jim Tan Lifestyle. You mean Bitcoin at zero? I mean, anything's possible, right? But I would say that would require I would figure that if Bitcoin's at zero, then something is drastically wrong in the world. But hey, I can obviously be wrong. So far, Bitcoin's been an experiment. The experiment has been working thus far, but it doesn't mean it's always going to work, of course. But it makes a lot of sense to me. I've always had a pretty simplistic take on Bitcoin's value. It's just, look, we live in a digital age. For the newer generations, especially people who are born in my generation or younger, they've grown up mostly with the internet. I got the internet when I was in my early teens. Elsa, you got the internet when you were in your mid-teens because she's a European and they're late to the party as usual, very low energy. And that's not funny. There's millions of Europeans out there with very low energy, and you think it's funny. You think it's a laughing matter, but it's not. Low energy is a terrible killer. It's a silent killer, actually. So we need to raise the energy, and that's what we're trying to do. And if we can't do it, we're moving. You got it when you were 8? No. What?
And I'm not 8 because I remember they were sending me dick pics in the chat.
Elsa says, I remember that we got the internet when I was 8 years old because I was getting dick pics in the chats. Were you going around and telling everyone, hey, I'm 8 years old and what is this?
Yes,
It actually was normal back then. I mean, how many times did you go? Do you remember chat rooms back in the day? Chat rooms? Chat rooms, and people would ask ASL, age, sex, and location. It's like, this is a fucking pedophile's wet dream. I mean, age, sex, and location. Just get all of the most important details out in front of you. Jesus Christ. Just insane, man. The Mal Pally says, hey, Krown, great work, man. Really appreciate your analysis. We haven't even gotten to the analysis yet, but thanks, man. Can you give me analysis on some weird random shitcoin? Maybe later. But we'll get through the real analysis first. Low T, Euro T. Some euros not, of course. And again, for the Europeans watching out there, which I imagine it's most people because, well, it's too late in America. I don't think that's about all Europeans, just a generalization. Of course, there's some amazing Europeans. Some of the best people I know are quite literally Europeans. The Pimpin' Grandpa says, hello, am 48 years old, man from Somalia. Sorry for my bad English. I sold my wife for internet connection for play Bitcoin, and I want to become the goodest trader like you, zero have 400 ping BitGet. Yes, this is a good setup. I would also like to know your ASL before we proceed. Need to make sure that we're on the same wavelength here, sir. Redondo Beach, California. Nice one, man. That is Southern California, if memory serves me correctly. I actually grew up in California myself, but the northern part, not the southern part. American here, bruh, says Adam Rax. Yeah, we do have our Americans as well, but I think it's probably mostly on the West Coast because isn't it like really fucking late there right now? Elsa also had a big note that she wanted me to share before this live stream, which I've written down over here. Don't send me walls of text. Don't do it. It's bad. You can always get your message across with less, of course. 400 years old, LGBTQ, Africa. Nice. All right. Well, this is my demographic. This is what I want. Stockton, California. Nice one, man. Do you know the Diaz brothers? My boxing trainer is this Finnish kid. I fucking love this guy. He's this Finnish kid who like comes from the hood, and he's obviously a fighter. He's a very good fighter, actually, and he loves the Diaz brothers. He loves Nick and Nate Diaz, and he always tells me, it's like he always says in his Finnish accent that he wants to come to America and go to fucking Stockton, California, of all places. He's like, I just want to walk around. I just want to walk. I'm like, dude, you don't understand how fucking boring that place is. Like, don't do it. Don't do it. You have met them. Nice. Yeah. They are absolutely loved. They took my Cardanios. I'm actually curious where even Cardano is at this point. Let's look at it for a quick second here, and then maybe we get into the Bitcoin analysis. Well, it did come down to the corrective target of 50 cents. Pretty big bounce right there. I mean, I guess some things in this market will have a chance for at least higher on this bounce, but really good place for a lower high. And this one is about 71 to 72 cents, I would say. But let's see, does it have any sort of bullish divergences? It does, actually, even on the MACD histogram. I've been looking at the MACD a lot recently. I like it on the higher term timeframes, but not necessarily on the lower term timeframes. Anchorage, Alaska, 10:30 p.m. Holy shit, man. And it's also, I bet, extremely cold there right now, because I know it's very cold here in Helsinki. In fact, it's snowing. It was snowing yesterday and snowing this morning as well. Just insane, man. Super fucking windy as well. 2:25 a.m. here in Puerto Rico. Holy shit, man. That is awesome. PR Crypto Gym. Hell yeah, man. Love it. Anyways, I will say Cardano will outperform Bitcoin in the long term. Well, let's see what the ratio has to say, because I have an immediate gut reaction saying that's probably not going to be true, but it looks like one long-term major oscillation, and it's already hit the lows, so next move should be up, actually. So probably does outperform Bitcoin by a little bit, I suppose. But yeah, long term just kind of caught in that range, I suppose. Hey, all good, Carl. All good, man. I appreciate that. Snowing right now in Anchorage and decently cold. Not too bad, honestly. Not too bad is what? Is that 0 degrees? Because it's 0 degrees here, man. It's getting to be too much. I'm looking forwards to going to the States. The caretaker says, remember, guys, not your keys, not your fart coins. That's right. Your fart coins are at risk by having them on exchanges. Make sure to put your fart coins into your fart wallet, which is your asshole. And I'm actually curious. I was actually very surprised to look at this one a couple of days ago and see that this thing is, it's, I mean, Farcoin literally has the best chart in cryptocurrency land. It has had the best chart in cryptocurrency land since April. Didn't fall nearly as much as pretty much any other shitcoin, and is already making new highs for this year. Yeah, for 2025. Or is that true? Sorry, no, that's not true. January was much higher, but shit, it's doing a hell of a lot better than most things in this market, especially on this bounce. Where would the next area of interest be for something like this? I suppose around $1, actually. That's fucking crazy, man. But yeah, this is, I mean, I might regret saying this, but this is actually like very good. Very surprising, but very good. Maybe that's a signal in and of itself. Snow in Chicago, like dandruff, maybe. I don't think that's the snow that they made in Chicago, sir. I think they're talking about a different kind of snow. Cardano got to 122 cycles ago and $3 last cycle. Can we get to $5 this cycle? Most things have not made new highs this cycle, and I don't think so. No, I still think that it's more like that the cycle is actually over than not. But if there's anything that could make me change my mind as far as shitcoins go, it'd be Farcoin right here. I mean, that's literally still an uptrend on the monthly. I mean, just put in a higher low right here. So that would imply a trend to perhaps at least the prior high. But that could be a long-term type thing. Ricardo Aureleno says, you encouraged me to move to Florida from Ireland. I love Irish, man. I'm actually, I think like half Irish myself. But I don't know. Ireland looks really beautiful to me. It depends what you want, man. If you want some tropical sunshine, then yeah, Florida is probably one of the best places in the world, at least from what I can see, or at least from what I've been to. But I haven't actually been to Ireland. I don't know, but I like the Irish, man. The Irish are just super fucking cool. They're always cool. Like anytime you're traveling and you meet an Irish person, they're just, they're just born cool, I guess. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the accent. Who knows? Anyways, do you think the 4-year cycle has changed due to ETFs? I think it's very possible. Yeah. Bitcoin is definitely trading differently ever since it's gotten an ETF. But has the cycle definitely changed at this point? Well, we won't. I mean, we technically won't be able to 100% say, yes, it is a different cycle until we would get to the traditional 4-year mark area, which would be at the end of this year, meaning that you'd be expecting new highs somewhere around, let's say, September to November area, again, at the end of this year, and then down from there. So right now, obviously, we don't know that. I definitely have my my inclinations that I don't think that's going to happen, or at least it's not going to happen without like a nice siesta period here between now and kind of like the mid to late portion of summer. But when I look at the higher term timeframes, I have a really hard time seeing that. For example, when we see the monthly MACD come down hard like this, with that very aggressive slope, that is traditionally a signal that at least we're entering into a very long-term consolidation. And in many cases that has signaled the end of the market cycle, actually. Now, of course, it's not until it actually crosses, but it will cross at what price? If it was this month or closing on this month, it'd have to close below 61,200. I don't think that's happening this month, but next month that number will very likely go up significantly, I'd guess. Of course, we can also go look at quarterly RSI divergence, which there is 1, 2, 3, 4 drives coming off of all of the macro highs for Bitcoin, and this current one obviously did not get anywhere near the prior ones, but if things do confirm a local high here, which technically will be confirmed with Bitcoin coming back down below the first quarter's low and closing below there, which right now it's come down below, but it hasn't closed below there, then that will be confirmed, and you'll have many drives of bearish divergence and have to be looking for quarterly RSI to at least get back to 50, probably lower than that as well, as it has been working lower every cycle. But yeah, that's going to be coupled with the monthly time frame. We've already gone over stochastic momentum as well with regards to these. It makes me very, very defensive towards, really looking for like significantly new all-time highs for Bitcoin, or at least there would have to be like a long consolidation period. You can see the monthly right here as well, same sort of bearish divergence call. And then of course we go over here. My big ones are the monthly stochastic momentum and the bi-monthly stochastic momentum, both of which have accurately signaled a lot of the ends of prior market cycles. You can see the monthly right here coming down hard as long as Bitcoin's below 106. So this thing wants to reset, meaning that I don't look for Bitcoin to put in any sort of like major upside move, certainly not to new all-time highs until this one's turning back up minimum. And I suspect when we see something, as extreme as this, where it stays in the critical zone for quite some time, you're going to see kind of an opposite but equal reaction to that, where it probably comes down at least to the bearish control zone. And I think best case scenario, it would start to turn around there. Worst case scenario, it comes all the way down to the lows of all of the previous cycles, which maybe not the best, but that would be the most obvious for kind of defining the next major macro low. But yeah, that's corrective at best over the long term. So it does make me really, 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 really skeptical of rallies. Not that rallies can't happen. Obviously, Bitcoin's rallying right now, or has been since a couple days ago. But it's got a lot of work to do, and there's a lot of points of failure along the way. To the upside. So that's why I still remain quite skeptical here. That's why I still remain pretty defensive for Bitcoin, despite thinking that maybe this one does have another short-term upside move. But like I said, it can get to $85 to maybe even $87,000. It doesn't change anything, especially as long as Bitcoin is below the white 200 moving average. If you just want like a super, super simplistic way of looking at this, that would be it. As long as Bitcoin's below there, it's just better to be better to be biased towards the downside. Anyways, I'm going to take a few sips of this and we'll get into the actual analysis of the day. John Bollinger called the bottom. Sure. Did he call the bottom like for now, or did he call the bottom for? I don't know. What's the context of that statement? To be fair, he hasn't had the best track record with public calls, but I do highly respect him, and I have seen him be like massively right sometimes as well. But yeah, you know, he's one of the OGs. He's one of the best of all time. It is what it is. And as El Satoshi said, super chats get priority. Spamming not appreciated. Also, the hammer action going down after that as well. You'll bonk their ass. You'll bonk their ass. Yes, that's right. It's called pegging. Let's see. Georgie, Mr. Petsov says euro or dollar for the summer period in case of rate cuts. Let's go look at the ratio. You know, I've been calling a reversal for the euro dollar for a while, since February/March. I still think that this one works its way higher. I would be bullish on the euro versus the dollar. You know, yes, this thing does technically not confirm a reversal until we see a monthly closure above 111 and a half, which could very easily happen at the end of this month. But, you know, I think that you will be testing somewhere around the 200 simple on this rally, you know, and I think that happens sometime between now and about a year out from now. I mean, these things can obviously take a long time. This is a monthly chart after all. That'd still be, you know, a quarterly lower high, to be fair, but that would be a decent move higher. You know, these sort of pairs, they typically oscillate in general ranges, and this one a lot closer to the historical range lows. So it's just better to be looking for it to, you know, to more than likely bounce more from that region. And I really like this monthly higher low right here. So I would be favoring the euro over the dollar. What would negate my statement? Well, if Bitcoin, no, if the euro dollar, you know, started to come back down below about like 109 and a half, okay, then maybe I'm wrong and maybe this thing really does fall apart, but I really do highly doubt it at this point. We're probably even seeing, momentum freshly turn back up here, as well as, you know, if this thing closes above 106 by the end of April, and that's, you know, I don't think that's going to be an issue at all. And of course, looking at Dixie, I've been seeing a lot on crypto Twitter about Dixie. I actually haven't even looked at it myself today, but dipped below $100. But same thing here, you know, this thing does like to kind of oscillate within a range, but I suppose if there is going to be a real chance to break down, this would be it. I said the same thing the last time it was down here as well, and I'll say it again for the exact same reason. We're seeing monthly momentum, very likely going to cross back on down to the downside as long as this thing closed below 106 and a half. I think that's extremely likely by the end of April. And is there? No, there is not hidden bearish divergence, but you know, you're back down around these lows and momentum's turning in that direction as well on a very high term time frame. So, you know, I do think that this one legitimately has a chance to break down. And at that point, I don't know how long it would take, you know, probably multiple months, but I'd be looking somewhere around $96. Quarterly, same thing as well. Quarterly stochastic momentum also crossing down freshly on the open of Q2, and that one's pivoted at 107. So yeah, if I had to make a call, I would say dollar down, euro up over this next year period, you know. But it is really difficult doing long-term analysis on, you know, these sort of currencies, because there is quite literally a manipulation that you can't really foresee. You know, it is literally just driven by central banks and whatnot, and that's, you know, that's a different game. It's kind of a weird one, and I don't like it. 6-month time frame as well. Now that I look at it, is going to be freshly crossing to the downside if this thing closed below 107 at the end of June. So again, and this one's also a bearish engulfing dildo as it stands. So that again would make me very much biased towards real downside on the dollar. And also the yearly, now that I look at the yearly, is a bearish engulfing dildo, and we're seeing momentum cross the downside here as long as it's below about 102. Obviously, it's really early within this year. There's still another eight months and 3 weeks left, so it's not really worth going too deep into this one. But if I had to call a direction for the dollar index, it would be down. And if I had to call a direction for the euro dollar, it would be up, probably over the next year spread or something like this. But like I said, anything can change this like very, very rapidly. But that's just gun to my head analysis type shit. Anyways, would you have a look at super daily? Actually, I haven't even gone to the real analysis yet. We'll get to that later, man. Champ Blue says, I have a very important announcement to make everybody here, Mr. Krown. If you wait, what? to make everyone here Mr. Krown. Is everyone becoming me? You don't want that. That's not a good thing, man. If you sell in May, you are fucking gay. Again, I'm just reading the comments. I have absolutely nothing wrong with gay people. In fact, I had a really good friend, a gay friend in college. She's super fucking cool. I've also had some not great experiences with gay men. Typically at the wait, what?
Do you mean when they try to get on?
I mean when they when they invite me over for things that I think are that they're actually interested in, when they're actually interested in clapping my cheeks, which I'm not interested in. Anyways, Dixie dump means we should pump risk on assets. Then LFG says Crypto Clown World. Baby, I mean, that is the general interpretation of it. I mean, I think that's why a lot of people are obsessed with looking at the dollar index. But, you know, for example, this thing's been down since February. And what else has been down since February? Bitcoin and most risk on assets, right? So I don't know if I just haven't seen this work out consistently enough to say I would just blindly be fucking bullish because of this chart right here. You know, it can be a catalyst, but it almost seems like a narrative play to me. It's like, okay, if it goes down, then we say that's the narrative. And if it goes up, then it's like, well, something else going on. Like, who knows? Anyways, OMG, I just mentioned the shoe guy. Yeah, man. Yeah, the shoe guy. I wonder.
Did you enjoy the last one?
Did I enjoy the lap dance? See, look, I was trying to be respectful and not rude by saying, hey, fuck you, F word, and I'm leaving. This is not what I signed up for. But in the moment, I was thinking, I really don't want to be rude to this nice young man. He invited me over to his place to get drunk and smoke weed. That's great. So yeah, there was that. In saunas, in health clubs, yeah, lots of these sort of things, man. There's even stories that I haven't told, but I don't even remember. Anyways, let me get over to my notes here. I'm taking way too long as usual. I apologize about that, but hey, it is a free live stream at the end of the day. So it is what it is. It is what it is. All right. We're all just living in a simulation anyways. It's probably we're probably living in some sort of a simulation that is like, it's like some sort of enlightened accounting firm is trying to figure out, you know, what the best spreadsheet is to run right now. So we need to run a simulation. That's a simulation that we're living in right now. Anyways, I'm gonna take a sip of this. Champ Blue says, that's our problem with being too nice. Two gays trying to clap because we grew up in San Francisco. Yeah, I mean, I grew up around gay people all the time. A lot of them are pretty fucking cool. Some of them questionable, just like most people. All right, point on the bear where they touched you. Well, I actually drew a picture of this one, in fact. And can I bring it back? Holy shit. What do you call this pattern? Well, I think the pattern's actually played out at this point. All right, let me get my notes. No more fucking around. Whoops, just goofed up. So already fucked that one up. My apologies. Jesus, man. Can't do anything right today. All right. There we go. Okay. Let me see where I should start this one off. I need to just go down my notes really quickly here. Okay. Yes. Let's go to this one. Let's go to maybe, actually we can start off on this one. Yeah, that would be an easier one to begin with. And we'll go off this right here. Okay. Beautiful. Yes. All right. Yes. Okay. And then let's go over the Boolah signal. All right, cool. In yesterday's video, we were saying a likely pullback based off of the current trend is, well, likely to happen. Fuck, I'm already fucking it up, man. In yesterday's video, we were looking for a short-term downside move based off of just the general trend for Bitcoin in the past 24 hours. We have seen about a $3,000 to $4,000 move to the downside since we last spoke, from 83,000 to 78,000. Now that I do my mental math, that is actually $5,000 differential. My apologies, but I'm actually redacted. And in today's video, I want to be providing a little bit of hopium. Is there a signal that can actually save Bitcoin or the crypto market at this point? And if I'm going to be bringing up any signal, it of course has to be the witches over here. The witches over here with their damn moons is about to fire off the traditionally bullish moon. And as I've included a nice strategy here, I've back tested anytime that we've just opened up along when the new moon, or sorry, it's technically a full moon, I suppose, comes along. and then closing that long as soon as that moon period is over, which is 14 to 15 days. And we can see over the full history of Bitcoin, it has been more profitable than not in terms of hit rate. It's actually just under 50% strike between being a win versus a loss. So generally better than a loss. And then of course the equity curve here has actually been significantly up and to the right due to the outsized returns from those periods. So that I do think deserves some consideration at least, and we are about to fire off yet another one of these signals, not today, but upon today's closure. So once we get to Saturday, then officially you will have the moon signal fire off yet again. And again, it's not like a 100% guarantee. In fact, we saw, well, we did see the last one work out a little bit, but the one prior to that did not work out. Certainly was a loss. Of course, the one before that was a big win to new all-time highs, and the one before that was, well, it did print new all-time highs, but did close down. So, looking at this one here, it's like coming off of a major low. Is this more likely to be a low pivot or a high pivot? Probably more likely to be a low pivot. So I would give the benefit of the doubt in the short term here to the boo laws. Of course, I still have to state though that just a fact of price action right now is that Bitcoin is still within a downtrend. The price action pivot here is still about $86,000. That means that as long as Bitcoin is below there, your trend is still to the downside. And of course, Bitcoin could rally all the way up to that region, reject, and then come back down. That's the problem with trend, or that's the beautiful thing about trend actually, is that it's typically your friend, typically goes in that direction. Of course, all trends have an expiration date. This one's been going on basically since late February. So, it's about almost 2 months strong now. So is that going to last for forever? Probably not. You're going to see your bounces even in a bear market as well. But as far as that goes, yes, that pivot is unchanged. $86,000 Bitcoin needs to close above in order to have a realistic chance to actually reverse this trend. Until then, any sort of bounce is, well, just a bounce leading into a lower high. Now, there are a few other things perhaps that would go on the bullish side for this, and I want to represent that side first because I've been representing the bearish side a lot more recently because I'm also biased towards that general side, despite, probably looking for a bit of a bounce here. But as far as the bullish side goes, a couple of things of interest. We do see daily stochastic momentum will likely cross the upside today if Bitcoin can maintain above 79,550 on CME. Spot price action is going to have a pivot actually significantly lower than that at $77,000, but I really would be going off of CMEs right here. So as long as Bitcoin is above 79,550, I would look at that as a good signal that Bitcoin is going to carry on with this rally, at least a little bit higher. Now, on top of that, we can also see over here that there are several drives of bullish divergence coming off of these last few lows. I'm talking about the lows from late February. I'm talking about the lows from early March, and then the lows here yet again in early April. So that's 3 drives of bullish divergence. The very, very obvious target, again, is that yellow 21 exponential moving average, which has already been hit. The next target would be the green moving average, which is a 55, and that is quickly coming in alignment with that price action pivot here, coming down quite aggressively now, currently at about $86,000. So, if Bitcoin did get around there, I mean, again, that would be a pretty damn good place for a lower high, to be fair. But hey, that is a decent bounce from where things are standing right now. That would still be another 5-6% move, from current. So, maybe that's relevant to you, maybe it's not. If you're in the short-term timeframes, then of course it is. I mean, if you're on the higher-term timeframes, maybe less so. Anyways, now that we've gotten through that, I do want to go over the bearish side because it has gotten stronger since we last spoke yesterday. Now, this is again on very high term timeframes, and I think a lot of the miscommunication is probably my fault with this because it seems like some people, certainly not everyone, in fact, the overwhelming majority seem to get it, but some people think that if I'm bearish or bullish on any given day, Bitcoin must go up, to that exact price. Keep in mind, we're looking at very high term timeframes. These can take multiple weeks to multiple months to play out, but there are several concerning things here, I'll say, just very bluntly. And first, I would have to go over the 10-day time frame stochastic momentum trend line here, the regression that has been holding in all of the lows in this bull market. Every low in this bull market has come alongside a test of this regression long term. I'm talking about literally the low of this cycle in 2022, then again in September of 2023, and again in September of 2024. So that's literally the low here, literally the low here, literally the low also here, and as of right now, or as of last night's closure, this one has officially broken that trend line regression. So whenever I see something like this, it's an indication that is a change of behavior. And if the prior behavior was obviously higher lows within a macro uptrend, then this would suggest that, hey, don't be trusting that to be going on for forever now, because something else is happening. And this one remains with downside pressure, by the way, as long as Bitcoin is closing below 94,200. Now, this one just opened up last night, by the way, so it'll be another 10 days since this is really relevant. But I don't think Bitcoin's going to get above 94 by the end of the next 10 days, to be fair. Now, on top of that, we also see something which technically was not confirmed, I believe, or let me just double check. No, it was confirmed. Yeah, it was confirmed. The other thing that I want to bring up is the 10-day time frame 5 exponential, that red moving average, versus the yellow 21 exponential moving average. These have officially crossed based off of yesterday's closure for the 10-day time frame. And anytime that we've seen these cross, on the macro, Bitcoin has gone down to test at minimum the green moving average, the 55 exponential moving average, which is currently at about $70,000 and rising. And that will rise up with each and every passing closure. So I would still say that Bitcoin is more likely at some point to see that $70,000 level. There's only been one iteration where this did not happen. And it was actually last year, to be fair, right here. Obviously, they did cross. Bitcoin did not test the 55 after that point. You could argue that maybe the test came before, but that's not the way that I'm testing this myself. So I would not make that argument to say that one's a failure. And yeah, anything can fail. Obviously, there's a non-zero probability. But in the past, we can see very obviously this one worked out right here. This one worked out right here. This one worked out right here, a little bit too well. This one also worked out right here. This one also worked out several times, in fact. And then this one twice in 2014. And again, even in 2011 as well. So, when I see something like that, I do have to be biased towards that condition being met. And I'm, again, going to be generally bearishly biased until we see, that level. Now, could Bitcoin put in a higher low there, reverse, and then bring everyone to Valhalla? Maybe, yes. I do think it's possible. The more and more that I look at this, the more and more I do think that Bitcoin could very possibly put in a low somewhere between the very high 60s, or somewhere around the very high 60s to maybe like $70,000. But it still naturally takes some time, and I suspect that we'd get like a very long consolidation around that region, basically between like 85,000 to $70,000, or let's call it $67,000, for many months, and then maybe gives another try to the upside. I could see something like that happening. That would kind of align with maybe an end of year type of rally types of scenario. But again, as far as the long term goes, I see more concerning things here than I don't see. And when I go to the monthly, again, nothing's changing this anytime soon. Monthly stochastic momentum has lost the critical zone. It also has bearish divergence, and it is coming down below the critical zone for the first time in over 2 years, a little bit over 1 year. And it shows downside momentum as long as Bitcoin's below 106. And pretty much all of the crosses that bring it back down below that critical zone have correlated with macro highs. On top of that, we got the bi-monthly closing at the end of this month, and this one is very likely going to cross the downside, assuming that Bitcoin doesn't pop up above $91,000. I don't think that that's impossible, by the way. So if Bitcoin does reclaim 91, that would also be a pretty damn good indication that the market cycle ain't over. But any other time that we have seen this one officially cross the downside, those have been your macro highs as well. This one here, and this one here as well. And then of course we got the quarterly. This one's not closing anytime soon, but if it were to close right now below 93, it will force this one back down. And that's kind of the same thing as the bi-monthly. So I do express a lot of skepticism for a long-term rally still continuing to new all-time highs, or at least I'd really prefer to see like prolonged consolidation, kind of holding between, again, those very high 60s versus like mid 80s, let's say, for many months. And then, yeah, I could probably see, another real try to the upside. But again, that's going to be coupled with monthly bearish divergence here, and on the monthly, and also on the quarterly, you're going to have potential to confirm bearish divergence. And I bet the bi-monthly also has as well. Let's just double check. I want to confirm this. Maybe we'll just load it for forever. Let's see. Okay, there we go. Yes, lovely. All right. Yeah, would certainly have another lower high here on the bi-monthly RSI alongside higher highs here. But how would this one confirm a local high? It needs to come back down below, February's low and close below there. So that would be 78,300. Yeah, 78,300. If it can close below there at the end of this month, if you see that, that would also make me very confident that this market cycle is over. But that, a lot can happen in 19 days and 18 hours. So we shall see. If Bitcoin is still above 78,300 by that time, all right, hopium remains alive, I suppose, maybe. If you squint your eyes and all this sort of stuff. But yeah, like I said, I want to accurately represent both sides. I still lean towards the downside overall, just because of the general trend. But in the short term, I do think that Bitcoin probably does try higher here. Like I said, anywhere between 85 to 86,000 bucks is fair game. Doesn't really do anything for the greater trend though. And the 55 is exactly where I'd be looking for on a lower high, to be honest with you. I mean, that's your traditionally perfect area to be putting it in. Anyways, I'll end the video on that note. We can do a quick actual check-in with the quantum wave bands. Do we have any new trades over the last 24 hours? Nope. This thing continues to scalp its way along. But of course, you can try it out for 30 days for free, by the way, with the code Krown, all capitals. You can also do the same thing over here for the Quant Prime AI service. 30 days free, same code. You can even use it for Caretaker's full indicator bundle, which is absolutely fucking amazing. And of course, the VMP as well. But like I said, if you are newer, I would not suggest the Quant Prime AI. That's not a good idea. What is Elsa mad about? Elsa's mad about some, and I'd probably recommend something like this a little bit more, because it's more, it's more done for you, I suppose. Anyways, we'll end on that note. As always, I want to wish everyone the best of the best. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully tomorrow. Lovely, lovely. Yes, no spamming. Trump signed a crypto bill today. What is it? What is it? Are we still dipping on good crypto needs? Do you mean companies or crypto needs? I have been buying stocks during this down move. I'm not buying any more as of right now, but I would be happy to either buy much higher or much lower, but not here. Again, I've already bought as much as I want in this current range. Anyways, let me see what Elsa has lined up for me on the side here. Maybe she's getting spammed or some shit, which is why she seems frustrated. But we'll start it off with Mr. Steven Schickman. As always, he's number one, doggy weekly, monthly, any bullish divergence. Well, let's see. I'm going to take a sip of this water. Let me go to my RSI chart. I'll abuse Caretaker's RSI. Like, I've gotten so lazy with reading divergences, because I just look at that. Yeah, there is bullish divergence certainly on the daily. We do see multiple higher lows on the daily RSI with lower lows on price action. I do think that you will at least hit the 21 EMA here. That's 16.5 cents. When you do get this many drives of bullish divergence, though, there is a legitimate potential to try towards the 55, and that would be decently higher at about 19.5 cents. So I'd say anywhere between those two areas is fair game. What about a higher time frame, like a weekly, as you asked about? Is there potential for hidden bullish divergence here? Actually, there is. Between this point, the lows from 2024 August and the potential lows right here, but it needs to reverse right here. And when I look at something like this, it's very difficult for me to get bearish looking for like a real breakdown off of a major moving average like this, the white 200 simple on a weekly time frame. Yes, it's been tested multiple times now, so that does increase the probability that it could break. But my personal rule is I don't like to call for breakdowns, when you're currently based off of a major moving average like that. It doesn't mean that it can't break down. It's just more often than not, you're going to get at least like a pretty decent bounce. You could argue that you've already had a decent bounce. I mean, you did have a pretty significant bounce of 41.5%, in March, but as it stands right now, I suppose that there is a little bit of hopium here. Same thing with the monthly coming off the 55. It's like, I want to see a bounce off of these major moving averages first. And like I said, this thing could easily rally up to even 19.5 cents, and it doesn't really change anything long term, but maybe that's relevant to you in the short term, of course. Quarterly, a little bit better here, I guess. I don't know. Maybe not enough information, honestly. Anyways, we'll go on to Turbo Daddy. Turbo Daddy, nice name. Good day, Mr. Herp and Derp. Please have a look at CL1. Okay, I remember in the past. Okay, hold on. Yes. Okay. It is crude. Okay. Because someone asked about this before and they were not looking for crude. They're looking for like Colgate or some shit. God damn, this print over here from April 2020 when it went to like negative price is really fucking annoying, by the way. It just makes it very difficult to see the chart. Look, the monthly is coming down to its own major moving average, the 377 here at about $53, just below $53. So short-term bounce does make sense. Is it going to be a reversal from here? I don't know, but I do think that it does try a little bit higher, $65.50, something like this. But that, again, does not change any sort of trend perspective. In fact, I would not call this one a reversal until you're back above $69.50. Also a great number right there. And in fact, there is a drive of phantom hidden bearish divergence here on Caretaker's RSI. The phantom divergences surprisingly work out a lot, and this one obviously has worked out, but god damn, man, that's a weird thing. That's a weird thing to be looking at. Monthly looks like it really wants to break down to me long term. So while I do think that there is a daily bounce in the short term, the monthly looks pretty ugly to me. You're bound to get a silver cross to the downside as well. So I do think that longer term downside is kind of setting in here. You know, the last time you got something like this was back here during the 2014 decline, and that one stayed in that fashion for a long time. And then before that, let's see, yeah, you did have it for a second over here. It did lead towards some decent downside. So yeah, I would be more biased towards just general downside here, to be honest with you. But in the short term, I do think that you bounce more to the upside. So always makes it kind of difficult because you got a difference between different time frames. But yeah, short term bounce, long term looks to me like it's setting into a real downtrend there. But again, oil is something that I fucking hate trading myself. I mean, I've barely ever even traded it, but it's just so run by geopolitical events and whatnot that are very difficult to anticipate. So for me, it's a no-go. Anyways, Dr. Checkmate says FXI versus SPY. Okay. All right. I'll bite. I'll see what happens when I type this one in. On the daily. Okay, we're on the daily. Long term, obviously down. Short term, it actually does have a bit of an uptrend here, but I think that this one's going to fail. I think that this one, at some point, I don't know how long it takes, you'll see this thing back down around 5.5 cents, somewhere between like 5.3 cents to 5.5 cents. I don't know how long it takes. I don't know what sort of path it's going to look like, but generally I think you're going to get down around there over some period of time, especially as long as you're below about 6.5 cents. Just, it is a downtrend for right now. So like I said, I'd be favoring that general direction, bounces along the way, of course, just like Bitcoin. Anyways, Peepoo says Fartcoin versus Wrapped Ethereum based Fartcoin. Okay. All right. Fartcoin Weth. Fartcoin Weth. Let's go to this one, I guess. I don't know. Really good. Probably the best chart that we're going to see all day. I mean, it's fucking insane to say, but it really is. It really is. This thing's already at all-time highs, essentially. I mean, more or less. I think that you're going to make new all-time highs either this week or next, very likely next week. This is bullish. This is bullish as fuck. Sell your fucking Ethereums, buy your Fartcoins. You heard it here first. No, just kidding. I mean, well, it is a better chart and it probably does do a lot better, to be fair. So maybe not. Anyways, Tobias says, I'm gay for some currency, TA. Please do. Euro versus the VND. What's VND? Vietnamese dong? Euro dong. That's a great name for a currency. Look, I really like this chart overall for the euro. But I do think that you probably see a pullback relatively soon just by the virtue of retesting one of these prior major highs here. That's at about 29.25 to 29.5. So, you're having a very strong move into that region right now. I think that it probably shoots it, to the upside a little bit more, but then you'll play out a pullback, maybe back down to like 28,900 or something like this. But long term, it's bullish. Like long term, I think that this thing is going to retest the 2011 highs. I think it's going to even make new all-time highs from there. This is quite good. Yeah. So I'd be favoring the euro over the dong. If you ain't dong, then you're wrong. Anyways, Hey Dude says, can we look at Buttcoin? It's the next Bitcoin. I've heard about this on Reddit, actually. Buttcoin. All right, yes. It's literally the next Bitcoin. All right, that's genius marketing. I'm convinced as well. And actually, pretty fucking good chart here. Are meme coins back? I don't think it's meme coins anymore. I think it's like ass related coins. This is butt coin, and then we have fart coin, and I'm sure like fucking fart shit coin is doing well as well. Unicorn fart coin might be doing well as well. Who knows? You retested your highs here. You're going to pull back from that. You're getting that right now, but I'm not going to hate an asset that's retesting all-time highs when most of the market is not as well. So I'd say that this thing is certainly relatively strong. You're probably going to have a bit more of a short-term pullback, but I think that this thing makes new all-time highs this week or next, probably next week. Overall, pretty good. I mean, this is your monthly. Your monthly is basically one swing low and then up. So I have to be thinking this thing is going to go find a swing high higher than where it's at right now. And that would be essentially new all-time highs. So yeah, if Bitcoin bounces up to say like 85, 86,000 bucks, this thing, is easily going to make significantly new all-time highs. So yeah. All right. Felix Morin says, what price would Ethereum need to close above to reverse trend? It depends which time frame trend you're looking at, but we can go over the higher term timeframes for you. Daily time frame would need to close above 1900. And hold on, I do want to just say, before you're like, what the fuck? I do think it's going to bounce probably a little bit more from here. I do think you could very easily hit the 21 at like 1750-ish region, but obviously that's well and far away from that last lower high. So it's got a lot of work to do. I'll put it this way. Weekly time frame, where's your pivot? This one's going to be bad. I can already tell you. Come on, load it up, baby. Trading view is a lot of waiting. Again, you're coming off of a major moving average here. We hit our $1,500 target. I think that you should bounce from a region like this, but yeah, your PA pivot here to reverse the weekly trend is all the way up all the way at 2820. I think that you could probably call a reversal earlier than that, to be honest. I think if this thing started to close above 2200, I would feel comfortable saying that the weekly is reversed. Monthly is, this one's not reversing anytime soon. As far as the overall trend, your last lower high is 3700, so it's got a shit ton of work to do there. But just putting things in perspective, again, it can easily rally up to a little over $2,000, which is a tremendously massive move from where it's at right now, and still be long-term ugly. Quarterly, even worse. It's bad. I wonder what a yearly looks like at this point. What does a yearly look like? Yeah, that's the picture of health and fitness right there. Anyways, do I think Ethereum will go below the last cycle's low? Let's see. That's a 40% move from here. I wouldn't call it. I wouldn't call it right now. No, I wouldn't. I think it could come down to like 1200 pretty easily. Try for a big bounce there, and then you're probably in an up phase again. But yeah, give the daily a chance to bounce here, and let's see if it does anything of note. Anyways, Mr. Jacob De Dios is back. What's up, man? Coin daily and weekly. Yeah. Let's check out Coin over here. I think last I saw it was having a decent bounce, but let's see. This one's pretty close to having a short-term reversal. If it can trade and close back above about 183, I'd be looking for a rally up somewhere around 200. That's on a daily, by the way. As far as daily RSI goes, do we have bullish divergence? We do. 1, 2, 3 drives coming off of these last few lows here. So again, your easy target is a 21. Your secondary target is going to be, a little over 200. But I wouldn't look for that second target to get hit until you actually see a closure above 183.25. But yeah, I think that this thing's likely in a bounce phase. Weekly, I believe it's coming off of the 200 simple here. So, it's hard to look for it to just like fucking shatter the floor from this region. So Yeah, I think most things in this market are likely setting up for a bounce at least a little bit higher, also, you're going to have weekly hidden bullish divergence here. Well, hold on. That's not going to work on a weekly because the weekly is in a downtrend, but let's see. Maybe the monthly has something. No, the monthly does not have anything, but I generally think that you're in a bounce phase. I generally think it's going to get somewhere around $200, to be honest. If you want a sort of actionable or just an area of interest to kind of look at that as realistic, it would be, again, 183 and a quarter. What else we got? We got Turbo Daddy's back again. He says, thank you, sir. I appreciate that, man. All right, sweet. I'll get over to the regular comments as well. Let's check in on Twitter. We are also live on Twitter as well, which is great. Let's see. Pro says, you know what grinds my gears on X? He is Krown on YouTube. He is Krown. Wait, what? On X he is Krown, and on YouTube he is Krown. Regardless, I've given him the bear in the cave. Yes, exactly. Let's see, no notifications as well on Twitter. Okay, that's a little bit strange. Usually Twitter's pretty good with that, but oh well. Hopefully it's just a one-off thing. Is Fartcoin a good short from here? I think you probably mean short, but let's actually go back to it just for a moment because it really does have an impressive chart, all things considered. Is it a good short here? No, you don't want to short the strongest ones. You want to short the weak ones. I know that sounds counterintuitive because a lot of people think, oh shit, everything in this market is dumping to fucking hell, but my fart coins haven't dumped yet. So I should short Fartcoin because that means it's just going to catch up a little bit later. No, if something's relatively strong, it means you're going to be better off doing your shorting elsewhere. Like short the weakest ones, not the strongest ones, because the strongest ones can do shit like this, which it's really impressive, to be honest. Like very impressive. Makes me really reconsider what I'm saying on Bitcoin, just to be 100% clear. But yeah, short fart and go broke. Yeah, I mean, if you do short fart, or if you have shorted fart, well, I mean, there was like a pretty decent downside move here, to be fair, but yeah, nearly 50% downside move, but it doesn't look like shit on a log scale chart. Like a scalp. I mean, yeah, of course, you can scalp your ways. You can scalp both ways, but I think you're standing on a railroad track trying to pick up pennies while a steaming fucking train is coming directly in your direction, and it's coming real fast. Would I even short it right here? No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. If it took out this low here from 83 cents, then I think you got a short-term move to the downside of like 79 cents. Maybe that's relevant to you. Maybe it's not. I don't know. Stavros says, see you at 92,000 Bitcoin very soon. I think I've been hearing this a lot recently. People were saying that this was going to happen a couple days ago, but it didn't. So you just move it out another day, I guess. We move it out until we're right. That's the way to do it. 3,000 views on X and only 800 views on YouTube. I think X doesn't update the viewer count if it goes down. So it just builds upon it. So it's probably like nowhere near that, because on X right now it's actually quite quiet. We only got a few people. It seems like, but I'm glad, I'm glad that people are liking these streams on X as well. On the 15 minutes. Okay. On the 15-minute time frame. Well, let's check it out. Maybe 15-minute, probably some bearish divergence building up here. Maybe back down to like 84 and 3. Yeah. Yeah. You got a little bit of bearish divergence there. Probably move somewhere back around here, like 84-ish, let's say. But again, you're picking up pennies on a fucking railroad track with a steaming bullet train coming in your way. Because degenerate X users don't sleep and are on drugs. I mean, X is a drug, honestly. Like, X is the one social media that I cannot control myself with. I can't stop. I'm not going to get help. Fuck you. That is rude, okay? That is very rude. What kind of help should I get? Elsa's looking at fucking dresses on Zara. She's not doing her job. Get back to work. ENA. We can look at ENA really quickly. Oops. ENA. Athena. lower term timeframes are switching around into an uptrend. 4 hours in an uptrend here. I do think that you could see maybe around like 35 cents or so. But if you're on the higher term timeframes, like I don't like this chart. The only thing that you really got going for you on the monthly is that you retested your prior all-time low. So you usually get a pity bounce there. And I believe that that's what's happening right now. But, bounce could easily carry up significantly towards like 39 to 40 cents, playing out all of this bullish divergence here. But again, that doesn't reverse your trend. It is a big move, so maybe it's relevant to you. I don't know, but it doesn't reverse the trend. My dong is strong, and I am long, and my name is Wong. Because what's up, Mr. Blake Austin on Twitter or X? I will never be able to not say Twitter. I guess it's just too ingrained in myself. Pendle USD looks promising for a reversal. Let's check it out. Pendle is something that I think was like quite popular at the beginning of this cycle, but like most things, it's probably fallen off. Let's see. Actually looking pretty good here. Yeah, I do think that this thing does have some decent upside. It's already trading above last week's high, which was your initial rejection of the 21. I think that it actually tries higher from here, man. It would be really easy to call if it does have bullish divergence on the weekly, but it doesn't. But I do think that you will try higher, actually. Maybe back around like 4, maybe even 4.25. Yeah, not bad. Not bad. Monthly might even have a local low in as well. Maybe I do need to consider my bearishness, but still, rules are rules, so I'm going to be sticking with that. You can do whatever the fuck you want to do. Looking at Bitcoin, yeah, a lot of people talking about $92,000. I don't see the relevancy of it anymore. It was relevant back here. Now the most relevant number would actually be when the 2nd of April's high, or if you're going off of a closure here, then I guess that'd be like 86 or so. Anyways, massive bearish divergence on NVIDIA monthly. Yeah, I mean, we've spoken about this several times in the past. I think that is topped out for a long time, and that would be part of the equation for sure. Really, really nice bounce here, though, I will say. Really nice bounce. Shit. The thing with NVIDIA is that you're going to have hidden bullish divergence possible pretty much at any point, as long as this thing is above fucking $40. It's like a 60%, more than a 60% drop from where it's at right now. So at some point it will put in a higher low. I'm quite confident. But has it already happened? I'm inclined to say you're still waiting on that one. Last quarterly closed as a bearish engulfing dildo. Got to give that time to play out. But yeah, short term should bounce up a little bit more. We shall see. Is YouTube your main job? No. Would you say it makes you enough money to live off of? It could make you enough money to live off of if maybe like you live in a no, not Afghanistan, like Thailand. I think that's why a lot of people go to Thailand, because you can reduce your overhead costs in a place like that, and it's still like pretty nice. But living here, like, could I live off of YouTube? I don't think so, no. Or at least it would be like super tight, and I wouldn't feel very good about it, to be honest. Anyways, Thale says, Sir Krown, can you take a look at TSM and possible upside targets? Sure. TSM, is this a crypto or a stock? I'm guessing it's a stock. I'm guessing you're looking at this thing.
If you just did OnlyFans, you could live off of it.
If I did OnlyFans, then maybe it's possible. There's a market for hairy feet, that's for sure. I think that you're going to bounce more here generally over the next couple weeks. Could easily bounce up to like 170. Again, you're retesting a prior major low from last year. You're generally going to get pity bounces from these regions. Monthly does have bearish divergence, but you could easily, I would argue that that's already played out. Like if you're looking for more, then you're kind of gambling there. Quarterly, if I can load it. Let's see. I'm sure that there's some bearish divergence here too. There is, in fact, looks like multiple drives. Yeah. So I generally look towards at least a 21 when I see something like that. And in some extreme cases, the 55, and 21's all the way down at like 118.5. So while I do think short term is a rally, it's still kind of be a little bit more on the defensive side on something like this for now. Super, you want to look at super on the daily and 4 hour. Okay. All right. 4 hour time frame has a nice reversal on the 4 hour time frame. That's for sure. I mean, you might even call this a double inverted herp and derp. You got a left derp, double derp right here, and then a right derp right here. Either which way, I mean, your 4 hour has reversed into an uptrend, so that's nice. I do think that this thing tries at least a little bit higher towards like 53, 54 cents. See what a weekly looks like. Weekly looking good. I should probably tell Elliot this. Hopefully he's watching right now. But yeah, you know, even the weekly, wow, the weekly PA pivot is 51 cents. It's very close to that. If it can close above that by the end of this week, I would have to be looking for a much greater bounce on this thing. Maybe even as high as like 70 to 80 cents. Now that obviously is going to take a long time. I'm looking at a fucking weekly right now, so don't get carried away with that. But yeah, that would be the weekly. Daily pivot is at about 54 and a quarter. Again, that 55 EMA there is going to be an issue. But you know, if you see it trade and close above there, then I think that you got a pretty fucking big bounce on your hands. So yeah. You want to look at Aether, please. ATH. Wait, what? ATH. Okay. ATH. I'm guessing this is a crypto. It is indeed, of course. We'll go to Coinbase for this one. Not a whole lot of price action history here, so I don't feel like super confident with something like this. Yeah, you had hidden bearish evidence there, but I think it's already played out. I just don't trust signals on something that's this new. If I had to call a short-term direction, it's going to be to the downside. I do think that you come back down in the short term to like 30 cents. No, sorry, not 30 cents, 3 cents. 3 cents. But that's not a reversal or nothing. It's just a short-term downside move. Daily, there's just not much to be going off of here, man. If I had to call it, I would say short-term downside, but from there, you know, can easily pop up like another 10% to 3 cent. It's just when you get a chart that's this new, it's very, very difficult. I can make a case both ways, and I don't feel confident on either way, just to be 100% clear and transparent. Let's see. Mr. Van Duysen says, I know because it splashed some water against my bunghole. What are you talking about, sir? Look at the daily H bar. That wedge is juicy and calling for spot buys. Well, let's go see. I feel like I'm reading a marketing quote or something. Sir, this is a fucking downtrend. There's nothing bullish about that. I know people are going to be like, oh, it's a wedge. Wedges don't work out that often, but if you are going to be playing it's actually more of a channel if it's anything. Okay. If you want to be going off of anything, it would technically be a channel, I suppose, but something like this. But the resolution would be the same. Anyways, you don't really resolve that until you're back above like what, 21, 22 cents. Let's see, short term. Yeah, I'd have to say, I do think it's going to bounce more here. I do think it's going to bounce up, you know, maybe towards like 19, 20 cents, but until it prove itself, I would be skeptical and shit like this. Who knows? Maybe I'm massively wrong on this one. I mean, you are having a pretty nice bounce off of that 55, and if that's a higher low, then this thing is gonna fucking rip. We'll see. I really don't know on this one. If I had to call it, I'd say short term is up, but that would be like 19 cents, and that doesn't really do anything for it long term. You know, still got lower highs. Anyways, let's see. Can we get NPC on the daily? NPC, okay. Another meme coin. I'm sure this one's going to be looking great. Non-playable coin. Great name. Daily has a higher low in place. Weekly can very easily have a bit of a short-term reversal here. I think that this thing probably tries back up towards the March highs at around 1.65 cents, something like this. Long-term, really don't like it. Here's your real chart. Really don't like that chart long-term, but I do think that you can have a nice upside move from here. If it got up to like almost 2 cents, I think that would be a gift from God and a great place for yet another macro lower high. But it looks like it is in the process of a short-term reversal here. I mean, yeah. Dog shit coin is coming. Is it really? Where can I get in? Can we get Cookie on the daily for business? Cookie, okay. What? Yes, sounds really good. And it looks even better. You know, a lot of these things do look like they want to bounce a little bit more, but this thing is not reversing you'd have to get back above 14 cents to even bring up that as a topic of conversation. Again, you could easily bounce up to like 9-10 cents and still be another lower high. I have a hard time being bullish on something like this. This thing's probably mostly just down only with pumps along the way that always fail. Why are we looking at all this shit, says David Middleton. I'm just reading the comments, man. If you want to look at some if you want to look at some more, I don't know, maybe more legitimate assets, I'm happy to do that as well. but it seems like the interest here is in shitcoins. I wonder why. Thank you for reposting the stream, by the way, on Twitter. I see from Hedge. Box of memes says Baba. Do you mean Alibaba? Let's see. Yeah, coming off of the daily 200 simple and 377 exponential. So really good bounce area right here. I don't think you're going to be going lower than Wednesday's low, at least not for a while without like a deep, pretty big bounce in between. This thing could easily bounce up to like 115, maybe even 120. Long term, not a humongous fan of it, but I do think that you're in a bounce phase here. So yeah, long term, I'm really not a big fan of it. So while I do think that you can very easily bounce up, I think that ultimately it will fail given a long enough time period. Yeah, weird one. Chinese shit is really fucking weird, man. I really don't like it, just because of the way that it moves. They do weird stuff with their accounting. It's if you listen to Kevin O'Leary a couple days ago, he was on CNN he was like the conservative voice versus all of the liberal voices talking about the Chinese tariffs, and Kevin O'Leary was saying, hey, we should put 400% tariffs on these guys because of X, Y, and Z. I'll let you go search that out if you want to see it. But I would have to agree with a lot of what he said, or at least that's consistent with what I've seen too. So yeah. Anyways, let's see what we got. What's up, Greeny? Another live stream, Krown. Indeed, man. Indeed. We'll continue to do live streams every day on Twitter, but I'll just do like pre-recorded for YouTube. But actually today we are live on YouTube as well. You must be bored. Loving the art you're dropping on your charts. I've been working on it, man. I've been having some fun with that. Let's see. Can you look at Ondo? Okay. Ondo Finance. Like most things, probably setting up for a bounce here. I'm sure that you got, many drives of bullish evidence come off these last few lows. That's your daily. This thing could easily trade up towards 93 cents or so. It's kind of a good place for maybe a short-term rejection. Other than that, what do we have on the weekly? Yeah, I am inclined to say that this thing actually should have a real try to the upside here. Personally, I think that you will see somewhere around like $1. This would be it's an ugly one, but it is a weekly higher low here compared to your 2024 lows. So you got that. Again, I don't think that this thing's going to be making new all-time highs or anything like this, but I do think that you're in probably a decent bounce phase, with general areas of interest around like 93 cents and then maybe a little bit above $1. But yeah, bounce phase, long-term, not a big fan. Greeny says, honestly, I'm not too bullish on many assets here. Farming airdrops seems the meta right now. I don't know about farming airdrops, but I agree with you. Again, it's like things can have really big bounces here, but keeping the higher term time frame perspective in mind, I have a really hard time seeing a lot of these things actually reverse. And the ones that are looking good seem to be like the new shit coins, like Fartcoin and it was Buttcoin, I think it was. Something like this. Don't reject me, bro. Yeah, Elsa loves Kevin O'Leary. Dollar yen. Yeah, let's look at dollar yen. Yen pairs are really fun to look at, honestly. Jesus. All right. Yeah, this is a reversal. You got your monthly lower high right here. Price action pivot is going to be there. I think that this one comes down to like 137.5. This is a monthly, so it's going to take a long time. Also, many drops of bearish divergence on Caretaker's RSI. Yeah, I think you're coming down to like 137-ish. Probably try for a bounce there. This thing's breaking down. Yeah, even the quarterly looks like a local high to me. And there actually is a bit of bearish divergence there as well. So I can easily see this thing coming down significantly from here. In long term, the trend has been to the downside. So I think that you've just found a major high right here, honestly. Stavros says, don't forget, people forget the lightest good news on trade deals will send the markets to the moon. Perfect example was the other day on the news of a 90-day pause. Soon we will be in full bull mode. Maybe, but there's always the next thing, man. You know, there's always the next thing. What if the next piece of news is after that is, oh, China decides to take over Taiwan? And it's like, oh, fuck, now you got a real problem. It's just these sort of things are too difficult to be basing any sort of plan off of because it's all unknowns. It's all variables. That's why I like looking purely at price because price is pure. It's just, it is what it is. And a lot of the time, you can actually see signals in price before they happen in the news anyways. Z needs to make a deal with Trump. Yeah, I really don't know how to analyze it myself, what's going on. It seems like on one hand, I can easily see this as being like a really genius play. And on another hand, I can see it being like, wait a second, this is not it. But only time will tell. I really don't know. I don't want to judge it either which way at this point, because I don't want to be like the idiots from last week who are like, haha, stupid Trump supporters, you guys got it wrong. And then a week later it's bouncing, and then on the other side, you get the other people who are like, haha, stupid fucking lefties, you herpity derped. And then and then they're wrong, the next day when things come down. What?
They're both crazy.
Both extremes are fucking crazy. I hate them both, but the left crazies have been in power for the majority of the recent period, so I hate them a little bit more. Anyways, Dixie coming into key support. Tether dominance also rejection from overhead. Let's actually look at tether dominance. That would be a good one to check in on. Elsa says, don't eat soy and fake meat. Otherwise, you'll turn into a low energy soy European. Okay, so is tether dominance putting in a high here? You would expect a high around the white 200 simple. That would be a beautiful place for it. But is it? I don't know. I mean, it's still in an uptrend on all time frames that matter here. So I'd have to say I can't agree with that as it stands. Yeah. If it can start to come back down below Wednesday's low and close below there at 5.5%, okay. Now you got a daily high in place and next move is down. The thing is that if it can confirm a local high here, you will have hidden bearish divergence still. But this has been a very fickle chart, honestly. So, it's, in my opinion, it's very difficult. It's just easier to look at Bitcoin, honestly. But look, if you see this thing come back down below Wednesday's low and close below there on a daily, you're probably going to see Bitcoin at like 86 to 87 soon after that. Maybe even higher over time, but at least somewhere around there. I only eat meat and salt. Actually, I've done that as well in the past, and it's really, really nice. But after about 6 months, I did have to start to add in other things. And especially when I started to train boxing, I certainly needed carbohydrates at that point. But yeah, I still pretty much eat primarily meat. It's just meat, honey chicken and beef and eggs and then potatoes. That's literally all I eat. It's fucking crazy. I was calculating it up. Even though I buy like the most expensive version of these products, it's still like really cheap just because potatoes are so fucking cheap and chicken is so fucking cheap. Beef can cost a little bit more, but those things, man, really cost effective. Vegetables cause cancer? Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. It certainly makes you more homosexual, but I don't know about cancer, unless if you count AIDS as cancer. Inviting himself to the White House. Who? Couldn't be me. I ain't fucking going there. Krown, have you heard of Gene DX, symbol WGS? No, I certainly have not. Oh, it's a real stock. Okay, let's check it out. Sounds like a biotech to me. Oh yeah, it's definitely a biotech with a chart like this. That's fucking for sure. I like the weekly bounce off the 200 simple, but I just don't trust charts like this very much. If I had to call it, I think you have next move to the upside somewhere above 100, but I have no real calls on something like this, man. Too weird of a chart long term. In biotechs, like, it's all about announcements there. A lot of games to be played. Don't you like rice? Rice just doesn't sit well in my stomach. He's Asian. He just wants to know. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, for me, it makes me too full, and then I can't eat as much, and I want to eat a lot.
Taste, like, Rob.
Yeah, I do like the taste. Yeah, the taste is really, really good, but it's too filling. It's too filling. Potatoes I can eat fucking all day. It's crazy.
I eat sushi.
Huh?
I eat sushi.
You do eat sushi every day. That's right. Anyways, let's see. Fat USD. Holy shit! There's fat coin. Did you know that? There's fat coin.
Is that a hint?
Is that a hint? It's fat fella.
Is there also a fat cow coin?
Big fat cow coin.
If there's not, I'm gonna die.
Big fat heifer cow coin. I think that this one's topped out for a while. But again, this is a super new chart now that I look at it, like super, super new. If I had to call a direction though, it's generally down, bounces along the way. If it wants to bounce, like 1.5 cent is fine. But as long as you're below about 1.6 cent, I'd be, I guess, looking for downside. Just again, very new chart here. I really don't know on something that's this new. Food is the next political fight coming to social media network near you. Sir, where have you been like the past 10 years? It's been going on for a long time now. First it was the vegans, or first it was the vegetarians, then it was the vegans, then it was the carnivores. Now actually I don't even know what it is, but it seems like most people are over it, to be honest. Hood, daily, weekly. Yeah, let's check out Robinhood. Some real stonks. Pretty decent bounce here off the bullish divergence and also off of the 200 simple. Where are we at on the weekly? Yeah, I'm inclined to say that this thing will bounce more. Really good move in Feb. I haven't really watched this one, to be honest, but this does have a lot of makings of like a major high. I would have to say, I don't know, on the long term, but in the short term, I do think that it bounces more. A little bit more at least. Maybe back around like 44, 45 bucks. It's actually a pretty decent move from here. I mean, it's literally 10%, but as long as you're below about 50, it's still a downtrend. So I would hold my horses on that one. But short term, probably some upside move. As far as any of the higher term timeframes, I don't think I have a read on this one. If anything, I'd have to say down with an RSI read like this. But there's going to be bounces along the way. You're in one. Anyways. Sir, I dated a Nordic. Why do they like going for walks so much? I don't know, but I like it actually.
Because we're not fat.
Elsa says because we're not fat. Oh shit, I just realized it's already 10:36. All right, we'll do one last one and then I think it's I gotta shut it off because I have a massage coming up. Anyways, Cardano. All right, we'll do last one. Cardano for Mr. Who was it? King Sock. All right, Cardano here. Another one coming off some major moving averages. Actually, we kind of looked at this one at the beginning of this stream, but I think that you're generally in a bounce phase. I think that this thing can, well, very easily hit 65.5 cents, but that's not saying much. I do think if it takes a leg up, somewhere around 71-ish cents would be the area of interest. Long term, I really don't know. I can make good cases for this both ways. Quarterly still is above all major moving averages, which is a good sign. So give it a chance to bounce and we'll come back to it after that. All right, cool. I'll be signing off on that note. I just want to say thank you for everyone for joining on in. It was a nice, fun little Friday live stream. We'll continue with the live stream schedule. I think next week, actually, I will have to do Monday and then Friday. But yeah, same shit basically. And then I'll continue to do the live streams on X every day while I'm recording. Just really chill sort of environment there and very, very short. So yeah, we'll sign off on that note. As always,